So good morning or good afternoon. Thanks for joining this meeting. So today is Wednesday, March the 15th, and we should be very close to the Antrea 1.11 release date. Before we start with today's meeting, I just have a quick service announcement. This is the last meeting where, from next week, from the next meeting, also Europe will be switching to daylight saving time, which means that since our meeting is based on GMT time zone, the meeting time will go back to normal for folks in the United States, but it will also shift by an hour for all those countries that do not adopt daylight saving time. So in a nutshell, for India, it will shift from 10:30 to 9:30 a.m. and from China from 1 p.m. to 12 p.m. So please bear in mind that the next instance of the meeting might be at a different time. So in the meanwhile, also Antonin joined. Good evening. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it's kind of late, and also you might be one of the lucky ones which is not affected by the power outage in the Bay Area.
Yeah, this time I'm lucky because 2 weeks ago I lost power for 3 days. So
yeah, that's right. It's somebody else's turn. Anyway.
Although Janjun also lost power for 2 days last time, and he doesn't have power now. So
maybe Janjun is the one that goes and cuts the cables.
maybe.
Anyway, so I would say that for today we don't have any pre-booked meeting in the agenda, so we probably just would like to go through an update for the status of the Antrea 1.11 release, and then maybe we do open discussion to see if there is anything that the team would like to bring up. So I don't know, Antonin, Chan, who wants to go ahead with an overview of the release status?
I could give a quick report about the current status of release 1.11, and currently we have planned to delay the release 3 days, so it's now expected to be released on next Wednesday, I think. Perhaps let me share my screen. We could go over the current status. Yeah. Currently, there are still 16 PRs opened for this release. Some of them are critical bug fix, and some of them are new features introduced in this release. Let's go through the list. For the first one, I think this is a bug fix and needed if we want to graduate feature endpoint slice from alpha to beta, which means that after this graduation, the endpoint slice will be used by default by Antrea proxy. And according to the test, there's one SIG network test started to fail after this switch. So we have to fix the bug first before we merge this PR. And for the second one, it's not a new requirement, but kind of refactoring about how we handle the user input provided configuration and how we consume them in the entry of the program, because it may introduce a big scope of changes and might be conflict with existing PRs. I didn't update it in time, and I suppose if this is not cannot be merged in this release, I could move it to next one. But the PR is some of the change in this PR is required for other patches. For example, we shouldn't install some open flows in some scenarios that they don't apply. For example, the net policy only mode. And I will extract some code from this PR to and make a new smaller one to fix that case. And for the third one, I think it's a behavior change of Antrea proxy to align with the Kube proxy, that when a service has no endpoints on a node, it should be rejected instead of dropped. So I think we should try to merge this in this release, but it's not very critical so far. And the fourth one, we just mentioned that I think it's ready to merge because there is no real code change. But we need to ensure that after this switch, everything should work. Should not at least be worse than what we have with endpoint API. And next one is a new feature in addition to the 7-node policy feature. And with this PR, we could support the 7-node policy logs if with the same flag in the node policy spec enable logging. And I think this PR is already close to merge. We just had a few minor comments, and I think GL always address them timely. There should be no risk for this PR. And for next one, this is to fix the scenario that when the client use TCP use DNS over TCP protocol to resolve a domain, and previously it was not supported, and leading to some weird issues when this happens, and it caused a lot of test flake. And I think the current fix is ready to merge if no other new comments is left for it. And but currently we're waiting for the CI pipeline to pass all validations. And this the next one is also an enhancement for multi-cluster scenario, and I think it adds WireGuard channels between gateway nodes of each multi-cluster, each cluster. And currently we still have some review comments on this PR, and I think it's still being discussed and being addressed. We may need a few more days to finish the code review and the code change. Next is a new test. I will first skip the test related PRs, as they are best to have, not must have in this release. And for the next one, I think this has already gotten enough reviews and has been uploaded. We are also waiting for the CI pipeline to finish the validation of this PR before it can be merged. And this one is to introduce Rancher CI pipeline for Antrea and run it regularly. I think it has got approved for some reviewers. So yes, and I will do another round of check before merge this one. And if anyone else could take another look, it will be much appreciated. And the next one, we have got 2 approvals for this PR. I think it's ready to merge as well. And for this document, PR it had been merged. And for more traffic, more support for multi-cluster gateway, yesterday I took a look at this PR and I left a few comments. I think Lan is working on adjusting.
I'm still working on this one, and I think we'll push the latest one today.
Sure. Yeah. And next one is also unit test. I remember it already got approval from Wenyin yesterday, and perhaps it gets another update after addressing some conflict. And the next one, the last one is unification of some processing in this package. There should be no big change, but I remember last time I reviewed it, there are some bugs and we need to fix. Perhaps they are already addressed. I will need to take another look, and any other reviews from other members are welcome. I think that's all of the current status of this release. If anyone has any question, please let me know.
No question from me. So thanks, Chan, a lot for the overview. So basically, our new release date is Wednesday, March 22nd, and probably the cutoff date for merging PRs is Monday, next Monday, probably the 20th. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. Okay, just a very quick update for TIA instead. We are ready for the release, and we don't have any outstanding patch. So that's all. Very quick update. So right, so this is about Antrea 1.11. Is there any comment, any question for the team regarding Antrea 1.11? Okay, it seems that we don't have any questions, so let's move to open discussion. I don't know if there is any topic that you would like to bring up, but let's keep the meeting open for a minute or two, waiting for topics or for anyone to bring up.
Hi, Salvatore. Actually, I want to propose some actions for the future PRs related to Windows tests. The truth is that several weeks ago, we observed Windows end-to-end test failure in all PRs. After some investigation, I found that the root cause was related with one case, which was not supposed to be run or even to be supported on Windows. After checking the commit history, we found that the PR was not verified on Windows before it was merged. The fact is, this is not the first time we have seen Windows test failure by non-related patches. So I want to propose some actions for all the contributors in Antrea. We expect that the patch owners try to pass all Windows tests on your PR before it could be merged if the patch has some candidate impact on the Windows logic. One easier way to check if the patch may impact Windows is you could check if or not a file with a suffix underscore windows.go exists in the folder where your patch has been covered. And a second action is that we will expect all the contributors to pass Windows Containerd end-to-end test before the patch can be merged. It is a mandatory requirements, so that if the patch has some bad impact, we can find the issue as soon as possible. And a third action is that we expect an interval for CI job could be introduced to run our Windows tests on the latest main branch. For example, a 2-day check in the CI job. In this way, if we can find the failures in main branch, so we can reduce some stress just before the release date. And the fourth action is that we expect Windows CI to introduce some enhancements to support running more and more Windows tests. I have created a issue to track the CI parts. The CI enhancements may include optimized Windows CI scripts to shorten the time per job and add more Windows test beds to support more jobs running in parallel. This is what I want to share. Thanks.
Thanks, Wenning. So these makes complete sense, and it seems that it's actually easy to break Windows, and we should not be doing this. And is in terms of additional tests that we are be running for every PR, we only have the Windows end-to-end tests, which are not very resource intensive or time consuming. Is that correct?
Yeah, Windows Container end-to-end test is mandatory to be required to run on every patches. So if possible, we need a required flag in the test case so that it can remind the patch authors and the maintainers to see if the patch has worked good.
That makes sense. That makes sense. No, my only question was this end-to-end test does not require a lot of time to run, or does not require particular amount of resources. Is that correct?
Yeah, it will not take much time.
Okay, perfect.
I feel let's probably add the required mandatory one to be triggered by the test O command, so that we don't have to type all the required test before merging a PR. And perhaps it also there also needs to be a new skip Windows end-to-end test build to skip that, or otherwise we will have to run some run this on that PRs, which is absolutely not related to Windows. For example, a simple unit test fix, or a simple fix specific to Linux, just like the other skip builds for conformance, net policy, and end-to-end. Yeah. Actually, I tried to add the Windows E2E to make it mandatory, but I found that we don't have this skip build, so I had to remove it to merge a lot of PRs.
Okay, makes sense. I think we can have some improve on it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right. Okay, anything else for today? Okay, seems that it's all for today, and And therefore, I wish everyone a great day, great afternoon, or a good night to folks that joined from the West Coast. And our next meeting will go back as usual on Tuesday on March the 28th. So thanks everyone for joining, and talk to you in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.